This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
All right. Coming down the aisle, it's the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And we are going to cover Survivor Series back in 1988, November 24th. I'm excited to watch this. What about you?
I'm excited. I know pretty much nothing about the Survivor Series.
No, me neither. I really don't remember any of the stories, anything that was going on. So this will be a kind of a fresh show for us. I know we will be getting our first appearance on this podcast of Akeem, who used to be One Man Gang. He is now a part of the Twin Towers with the Big Boss Man. So that's really the only thing I really know.
We might get to see a little bit more dissension from the Mega Powers.
Yeah, the Mega Powers are in this. We've got Ultimate Warriors going to be in this. I see we're going to get an Andre the Giant. So it'll be interesting to see what all we get from this this pay-per-view. So
yeah, and I really love the Survivor Series matches.
Yeah,
so.
Survivor Series is fun. Elimination tag matches. Usually, nowadays, they're usually 4-on-4, but we've seen them definitely, like what we learned in the first Survivor Series show, they can also be 5-on-5. So, and then I know our last Survivor Series that we had watched, there was only, 3-4 matches? I mean, there wasn't that many
There was
matches.
like 4 or 5, I think.
4 or 5. I mean,
there was at least 4.
Okay.
I know we had one woman's Survivor Series match and at least 3 men. And then we also had the tag team.
Okay.
We had that tag team 10-on-10
yeah, there
match.
was like 10-on-10. So, I mean, we'll see how big this thing maybe has grown in year 2. It'll be interesting to see. This is also our first pay-per-view that we've done outside of WrestleMania with a second show.
Yep.
So from this point on, we will get to rank these shows. We will get to, compare them with each other because we got Survivor Series here. Coming up, we'll have our second Royal Rumble in the next show before we move on to WrestleMania 5. So this will be interesting to see, starting to stack up the Survivor Series similar to what we've already started doing with the WrestleManias.
Yep.
So I'm excited to get started.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to point out as this show begins is we are back in the Buckeye State, Richfield Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio, up in the Cleveland area. That's where the first Survivor Series was, and they go back to Ohio for the second year in a row for the second Survivor Series.
And I really like the logo they have for the Survivor Series.
Yeah,
pretty cool looking design.
Pretty fancy logo there. So we start our first match, and it is the first team to come out, and they do come out with music, and it is the Ultimate Warrior's music. So the Ultimate Warrior and his team is Sam Houston, Jim Brunzell, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and the first time in our podcast, we have the Blue Blazer, and wrestling fans all over would know that is the legendary, rest in peace, Owen Hart.
Yeah, it was really cool to see Owen. He didn't really get to do much in this match. He had a little bit of time in there, but it was really cool to see Owen Hart again.
He had a couple fun spots, but it was just cool to see Owen Hart in the WWF now. It was just kind of neat to see his first, I guess, major pay-per-view match. I'd have to look back and see how long he had been in the WWF before this match, but this is the first time on our podcast covering the shows that we have covered that we have gotten to see him in in one of these shows. So I was very excited to see that. As soon as I saw him, I knew who it was. I was so excited. So we get to see Owen Hart as the Blue Blazer. The next team, and they do come out with music, and it is the Honky Tonk Man's music.
The Honky Tonk Man.
Just a Honky Tonk Man. And that consists of the Outlaw Ron Bass, Dangerous Danny Davis, Bad News Brown, and Greg the Hammer Valentine, and of course they got Jimmy Hart by their side. And
naturally,
Jimmy
Hart will probably be on the side of all the heels in this show.
Yeah,
as he normally.
This is the type of show where you see Jimmy or Bobby the Brain quite a few times.
Yeah.
So this match, I thought, kicked off the show very well.
Yeah.
It was a very fun match. There was a lot of good spots. I didn't really see any bad botches. I know I saw one clothesline that I was kind of like, that didn't look very pretty.
Yeah,
but
and
other
then
than that,
the double clothesline by Warrior was kind of... like, he jumps in and hits
and then
him,
bounce
and then he
back.
Yeah, he goes back instead of, like, following through. And in fact,
but it didn't look like a botch. It just looked...
It just didn't look very good.
Right.
And once again, unfortunately, I'm still waiting to see this man that I loved as a kid really shine, and he really doesn't do it. And it's kind of a weird ending, too. Although we did have one really cool thing that we'll have to talk about at the end. Okay,
so the match starts out, and immediately the first elimination was Dangerous Danny Davis.
Yeah, Brutus the Barber Beefcake takes out Danny Davis with a sleeper hold and submits him.
Okay, so following that elimination,
we have Bad News Brown eliminating Jumping Jim Brunzel.
Now let's talk about Bad News Brown.
With the Ghetto Blaster!
Yeah, he used the Ghetto Blaster again, but let's point out that in the last show we did, we kind of dogged on, Bad News Brown just because that match was so awkward, so bad. And in this match, they really showcased and made him look pretty
Yeah, he looked
dominant.
like a much bigger powerhouse here. And it seemed like he actually got the first time he did the Ghetto Blaster, which, once again, not a great name. But
has not aged well.
No. But the first time he does the Ghetto Blaster, it just seemed like he did it very lazily. Like, it was weird.
Like, let's get this match over with.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. This time he seemed to put a little bit more oomph in it. It actually looked a little better.
Yeah, so I thought they showed him a lot of respect. Now, who was the next guy eliminated? It was...
after that, it was Bad News Brown walking out.
So he was the next elimination.
He gets... That's counted out pretty much.
I wasn't sure if we had any eliminations before that.
Yeah, he is holding. Oh shoot, which one? I think it was Sam Houston.
Yeah, he was holding Sam Houston.
And Greg the Hammer was trying to do a hit on him or a clothesline, and Sam Houston ducks out of the way, and Greg the Hammer Valentine accidentally hits Bad News Brown. Which Bad News Brown then decides to call him a son of a bitch.
I saw that.
And he was not very happy with his accidental hitting.
Did not hear it, but I know what the lips read. And he definitely called him a son of a bitch.
And Bad News Brown just gets pissed off and is like, screw this, I'm out of here. And he just walks away.
Which I kind of found kind of neat, because not only did they make him look so dominant in this match, they didn't allow him to technically get eliminated either.
No, he didn't get eliminated by
he got eliminated by countout, but by his own accord.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't even allow him to look weak and get pinned. So they definitely looked like they were building him up as a very dominant force at this point. And I found that pretty cool, because he definitely looked really good in this match.
Yeah, he looked a lot better.
Yeah.
After being in the worst match.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next one was...
Outlaw Ron Bass power slamming Sam Houston for the elimination.
And that was a pretty good power slam, too.
Yeah, it was.
I actually thought that looked pretty devastating.
I felt bad for Sam Houston. That looked painful.
So, okay.
After that, Blue Blazer submits to the figure 4 by Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Hate seeing that.
Yeah.
Hate seeing Owen Hart submit to Greg the Hammer Valentine, but, you know,
he wasn't the feature of this match. This was about Brutus and Ultimate Warrior for the most part.
Well, and then the who we got left then? So, was the next elimination the double countout?
Double countout by
Okay. So the double countout was between Brutus and Honky Tonk Man, which, if you remember right from watching the last show, that was supposed to be Brutus going for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
But he got attacked.
And then Ultimate Warrior took his place and won the Intercontinental Champion.
Right. So they're definitely showing that feud between Honky Tonk Man and Brutus is still going on.
Still going on, yeah.
Yeah, so they double eliminate them. So then it's down to 2-1.
Yeah, and then we have then we get to see the Warrior, and like I said, it was mostly him taking a lot of hits.
Yeah, he was getting beat up for a little bit, and then he finally gets the upper hand.
He's getting double teamed.
Yeah, and then he does what the Warrior does, and he kind of, I don't want to say he hawks up, because that's somebody else's thing, but he basically hawks up. Well, he warriors up.
Now he takes out Outlaw Ron Bass first with a double axe handle to the head. And right after he hits him, he goes down for the pin. And the impressive part about this was the ref just jumps right over, because Greg the Hammer Valentine was still in the ring. He was fighting both of them. And the ref just leaps over him and gets the 1-2-3 right before Greg the Hammer tries to break up the pin, but he's just a second too late.
Yeah, a little bit of talent there on Earl Hebner's part. He definitely, I don't know if I've ever seen a non-special guest referee.
That was just impressive.
Get that active. Greg's in my way, so I have to get the pin. So let me just jump over here.
Yeah,
so that was just very exciting.
Maybe turning to the left and just pinning him there. No, he has to jump and get right next to him.
So he gets the pin. Greg the Hammer, or he tries to stop the pin, but he's too late. And then, beyond that, you get another double axe handle from the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, kind of a lame end finish, in my opinion. This kind of goes up there with the. I get for the first double axe handle, I didn't mind it as much because it wasn't the end of the match.
But the second,
but then to do it twice in a row
was kind of
with
odd.
Kind of a lame end. This kind of reminded me of that lame the choke on the ropes finish in that $1 Million Man match from past show. I think it was at the last WrestleMania where we had the tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a lame finish. This was kind of a lame, like 2 finishes right back to back with double axe handles, and not really the most devastating looking move.
No, and a matter of fact, his special move's like the big splash.
And he has the big splash. He could have done the double axe handle, did the big splash, and we've been much better in.
And at first, my first knee-jerk reaction was, well, maybe he doesn't do the big splash yet, but I think he did.
He's won before.
He's won the match.
He won the Intercontinental Champion with the big splash,
With the big splash. So I don't know the explanation on why we got 2 double axe handles, no big splash, but regardless, he wins the match for his team. And the last remaining survivor in the Survivor Series match is the Ultimate Warrior.
Back at these points, they had no interesting names for finishers.
Yeah.
You got leg drop. You got the elbow drop off the top rope. There wasn't they didn't give these nicknames. I guess the closest would be the DDT, which I guess nowadays we don't really think about.
Move, really.
Well, nowadays it is, but back then I think that was exclusive to Jake the Snake. Was the DDT finisher, which I guess I don't know why they called it the DDT, but that's the closest thing we got. Now it's a common move, but You know, back then, nobody had cool names for their finishers. Which, I mean, it still fits because we haven't seen $1 Million Man do the $1 Million Dream yet. And that's a cool name for a finisher, but we haven't seen him use it, so...
Yeah, so that's the end of that match. And yeah, you're right. Definitely, as the years go on, we definitely get a lot better names to these finishers, and we get more emphasis on having a finisher, I believe.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they give a crap about finishers back then. They
didn't-
did, because, I mean...
Yeah, they were definitely around.
Ended his matches with that leg drop, and the elbow drop was definitely a big thing for Macho Man, and the DDT, but they just...
I guess they're still trying to find their way, in the wrestling
Still learning.
world, and still growing until what we get later. So, okay. Okay, so our next match is a tag team 10-on-10 Survivor Series match. So, if you're a part of a tag team and your tag team partner gets pinned, submitted, counted out, eliminated, then you are also eliminated. So this is still technically a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, but it's with tag teams, so there's...
Yeah, 10-on-10.
10-on-10. So, okay, so we have the Powers of Pain, the Barbarian and the Warlord.
And they were the captains.
Okay, yeah, they're the captains of their team. And on their team, they have the Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. So we also get our first glimpse of Shawn Michaels on one of these pay-per-views.
Yeah, we got to see Shawn, the Heartbreak Kid.
And Marty Jannetty, the man who can make you disappear. Okay, and so then we have the British Bulldogs. The British Bulldogs consist of Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. We have the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Knight Hart. And we have the Young Stallions, Jim Powers and Paul Roma. And they are taking on the team of Demolition, Axe and Smash, and they are the team captains. And they have on their team the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. So we get Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard for the first time in WWF during our podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's cool to see Arn Anderson.
The Bolsheviks, Boris Zelkov and Nikolai Volkov. The Fabulous Rougeaus, Jacques Rougeau and Raymond Rougeau, and the Conquistadors, and they were just Conquistador number 1 and number 2, or Uno and Dos.
I just remembered, were the Rougeaus bad guys before?
I thought they were faces before this.
Yeah.
So this might, I don't know, they must have turned heel at some point, but yeah, I guess I didn't. I kind of caught on to that, too. I thought the Rougeaus were faces the last time we saw them.
Yeah, they must have had a heel turn.
And then in their sideline, they've got Bobby the Brain Heenan, Mr. Fuji, Slick, and Jimmy Hart.
I told you, that's two. That's 2 for Jimmy Hart.
Okay, so this match was kind of hard to follow. This match lasted 42 minutes and 12 seconds. So it was an extremely long match.
Oh, it was very long.
It
had some good high spots at points.
Yeah, there was high spots, but it was hard to follow because there were so many men. They were tagging in and out almost as quickly as they would do maybe 2 or 3 moves. And it was a really kind of frantic match. But, and we won't jump ahead to it, but the ending really kind of made it more memorable than the rest of the match.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
And I also felt like it took a really long time to not only get one team eliminated,
but after that,
the second team getting eliminated felt like an eternity.
Yep.
So let's go down through the list of eliminations.
Well, Bret Hart eliminates the Rougeaus, the Ragus, with a small package.
Okay.
Boris, much later in the match.
Yes.
Reverses a high-flying, crossbody, I believe it was, and turns it into a pin and eliminates the Young Stallions. Marty Jannetty takes out the Bolsheviks with the Sunset Flip pin.
And that is the second guy we have known that he's made disappear.
I would like to say that despite his making people disappear and wanting to have sex with his daughter, or who he thought was his daughter... did you not hear about that one?
I haven't heard that one. I heard about the making a man disappear.
If you listen to the PWA podcast, Pro Wrestling Apologist, we did a episode on the Rockers, and a couple years ago, Marty Jannetty texted again. He had another tweet that was a little questionable, where he was talking about how apparently he thought this girl came up to him and claimed to be his daughter. I mean, he's kind of famous and everything, so, you know, he gets around, I guess. And they did a test on it, a DNA test. And he, after they got the DNA test done, he had this tweet. Now, I don't have it written down, so I don't know what word for word what it said. But essentially, he's like, they got the test pack negative, and that he wasn't the father. And then he was like, he's like, I know there's a lot of sexual tension between us. And he's like, and now I know she's not my daughter, but, you know, it's kind of hard for me. I know we both want it, but, you know, she been daughter. She literally says, she been daughter. I thought she was my daughter, so I don't know if this is cool. And that was one of his crazy tweets from a few years ago, before just recently he talks about how he made someone disappear. So Marty Jannetty's just crazy. But you know what? Along with being crazy, he's pretty crazy good in this ring.
Yeah, he had a lot of high spots in this ring. He looked really fantastic. So did Shawn Michaels. It was great seeing both of them in the ring, and that's how I like to remember wrestlers. And I like to point that out as we move forward in this podcast, because I know we're going to get into some shows later down the road where we're going to have people, I don't know, like a man erased from history, Chris Benoit, and we'd like to focus on this, focus them as a wrestler and the talents they gave us in the ring, and not the insane stuff that's happened since their career has been over or whatnot. So we want to remember these guys as athletes and entertainers, and we're going to go ahead and do that with Marty Jannetty, because I know we're going to get quite a bit of him for several years, I would hope.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just a little crazy, and I haven't seen Marty Jannetty wrestle in a long time, so I didn't really remember how good he was. And we all know how great Shawn Michaels is, but watching this, he had a really cool looking body slam that he did that just looked really, really well done. So it was kind of nice to see how impressive he actually was, and unfortunately, it just seems like every time that the WWE gave him another chance, he just get himself in trouble somehow. Get caught by police one time. I think drugs and alcohol had a lot to do with him never taking the next step that Shawn Michaels took.
Well,
I don't know if
so.
I doubt he would ever reach Shawn Michaels' status now, where Michaels is now in the history books, but I think he could have had a really good run on his own, like Michaels.
Maybe as an Intercontinental Champion or something.
He was pretty impressive in that ring, but he's just he has a lot of issues, substance abuse issues, and I think it's really ruined himself for his career.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, let's move on. What was the next elimination?
Well, speaking of... Oh, no. The Rockers aren't out yet. It was Brett gets eliminated. He does a German suplex on Tully. And apparently Tully got his shoulder up and Brett didn't. So Brett actually and the Hart Foundation got eliminated.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing that. It kind of looked odd because you could see his shoulder was sort of up but then down. So I was kind of wondering if something would amount to that. And sure enough, the referee did call him out as opposed to...
he thought he eliminated...
Blanchard.
He thought he eliminated the Brain Busters, and instead he was eliminated because his shoulders were down.
Okay.
Really don't feel like they're giving Brett a lot of love in these shows that we've been watching.
Oh, don't worry.
He's still pretty impressive in the ring, but he's never at the end of these Survivor Series or... I don't know. After that, and this is kind of confusing because I'm not sure what happened, but the Brainbusters and the Rockers both get disqualified.
Yeah, the only thing I could tell when that happened was maybe both men were in the ring, like in a tag match. You have, say, 5 seconds to get out of the ring, or 3 seconds, whatever it is. Because they both stayed in the ring. Both teams stayed in the ring and kind of started brawling.
Yeah, the last thing that happened is Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels both do
super kicks
on both the Brainbusters. And then shortly afterwards, I thought they just said the Brainbusters got disqualified, and then the Rockers also got disqualified. So we lost both of them.
Okay.
After that, Smash takes out the British Bulldogs with a clothesline. I believe it was Dynamite Kid. He clotheslines him and then gets the pin. And here's where the ending is kind of...
Yeah.
I think we get our first double turn.
Yeah, so this is where we've said that the match kind of really definitely had a very interesting ending as opposed to just a normal whatever ending, I guess. And this was a really, really long match to get this payoff, but this is what we got at the end. So we're down to the Power of Pains on their team is the only team left, I believe. And then Demolition and the Conquistadors are the only teams left on the heel team. Well, Mr. Fuji gets up on the apron and almost is distracting his own, I think it was Smash up there.
Yeah.
And he was kind of doing something with his cane. It was weird. Well, then Smash started going towards the ropes, and Mr. Fuji pulled the ropes down, which caused Smash to tumble over the ropes. So it was a very odd situation. So Axe goes out there, and he's trying to, help Smash out, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. And the referee's counting the whole time, and they get counted out, 1, 2, 3, till 10. And after he gets counted out, Mr. Axe, kind of yelling at Mr. Fuji. Well, he turns his back on Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fuji hits him with the cane. So then they kind of attack Mr. Fuji and everything. So then after they attack Mr. Fuji and they finally leave because they've been eliminated, the Powers of Pain come and help Mr. Fuji up, bring him to their corner, and then they go in, defeat the Conquistadors. So then they start celebrating with Mr. Fuji, and then Demolition comes back out and starts attacking Powers of Pain, so then Powers of Pain leaves. So what it appears to have happened is the Powers of Pain had just turned heel, and Demolition just turned face.
Yeah, it seems like a double turn.
So this was kind of
we don't know for sure, but yeah, they attacked their manager, and they were already heels, so... The manager was definitely playing the heel role, so it seems like Demolition turned face and Powers of Pain turned heel.
Yeah, so it was very interesting finish to a very, very, very long match.
It was.
So, but that is, it is what it is. That took up 42 minutes and 12 seconds of a 2.5 hour pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I do not believe we are going to have very many matches in this show.
No, we've only got an hour and a half left.
Yeah, so I would assume maybe 2 more matches. You could squeeze in a third. Hard to say what we're going to get here. Okay, so before we move on to our next match, we are going to hear from our sponsor. Okay, so before the next match, we get a slew of promos. First one being with Bad News Brown explaining his actions on walking out on his team. He basically goes on a rant about how nobody has defeated him in the WWF. So apparently, according to him, and I don't know if this is true, but he's saying he is undefeated.
I mean, I don't think we've watched him lose yet. And,
this is true.
And yeah, he essentially said he didn't give a shit about Survivor Series.
Yeah, he said, I don't care about that match. He said, all I care about is the WWF Championship. So he wants a title shot. The next interview we get is Mr. Fuji introducing his new team.
We forgot to bring out, along with Ghetto Blaster.
Okay, go on.
Being his finisher.
I know what you're going at.
He also decides to use the phrase when talking about Macho Man, and the interviewer asking him if he's worried about, well, you like to go things alone, and Macho Man has Miss Elizabeth in his corner. He's like, I don't need no skirt.
Yeah, he does refer to Miss Elizabeth as
so many problems with Bad News Brown.
So then Mr. Fuji introduces his new team, the Powers of Pain, and explains how Demolition stopped listening to him, so that's why he had to turn on Demolition.
Yeah.
Then the next promo we get is of Andre the Giant and his team, who he has, Dino Bravo, Ravishing Rick Rude. We finally get to see our first appearance of Mr. Perfect. They refer to him as Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. So he actually uses his real name and Mr. Perfect in this pay-per-view. And then the next promo we get is the Mega Powers, so Hogan and Savage and their team talking about their upcoming Survivor Series match against the $1 Million Man. So, we get a slew of these promos before our next match.
And we're also, this next match we're getting the rivalry continuing. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ravishing Rick Rude.
This is true. And we also get a new one. It sounds like Hacksaw Jim Duggan is kind of feuding with, I believe, Andre the Giant. So it's just interesting that a little bit has changed since the last time we watched.
Andre's no longer with $1 Million Man, and
yeah, but of course the Mega Powers are still fighting with the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
So we get all this information in these promos, and then looks like we'll be getting Team Jake the Snake Roberts versus Team Andre the Giant. That'll be the next one, which would make the Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers team as the main event.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to it then. Okay, so the next match we have is the team of Andre the Giant. He is the team captain. Dino Bravo. We get our first wrestling match of Mr. Perfect in our podcast. We've got Ravishing Rick Rude, Harley Race, and they have Bobby Heenan and Frenchie Martin in their corner. And their opponents is the team of Jake the Snake Roberts. I believe he was the team captain there. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Ken Patera, Scott Casey, and Tito Santana.
Yeah. How did you like this match?
This match was it was pretty good. I enjoyed this match. It had a lot of good spots, good moments. It was a little one-sided, But I think that was by design. They wanted it to be one-sided to kind of tell a story towards the end.
Yep. It starts out with Rude, the ravishing one. Rick Rude taking out Ken Patera with the Rude Awakening. It was nice seeing that again. Then Bravo takes out Casey.
Okay.
Tito Santana takes out Harley Race with a flying forearm.
Yeah.
As you can see, the heels are really kind of cleaning house.
Yeah, one time it was 5-2, maybe even
5-3.
5-3.
Because then Tito took out Harley Race.
Okay, so it never... Okay.
Or no, it's 5-4 because only 2 were taken out. Then Tito took out Harley Race. And then Andre the Giant takes out Tito by just sitting on him.
That'll do it, though, if you're Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Then Hacksaw gets disqualified for being a fucking idiot.
Wow. Strong words.
Yeah. Well, he just goes out. They're down to just 2 people. Hacksaw and they're down to Hacksaw and Jake the Snake Roberts. And Hacksaw just gets frustrated, grabs his 2x4 and starts whacking on using it on Dino Bravo. And when the ref rightfully disqualifies him, he's like, bullshit. They bleeped it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I believe this is actually a pay-per-view first for us on this podcast. I don't know if we've seen a word bleeped out yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what Hacksaw was thinking would happen when he brings in a foreign object and beats the crap out of his opponent.
Well, I'm not 100% sure Hacksaw's all there.
Fair. I don't think he is either.
What did I do wrong? Ho!
Hacksaw, we're going to need you to stop using that word. Why? What's wrong with it? Ho! You're offending some women.
If Santa can use it, I can use it. Ho! So anyhow.
Then the best elimination is Rick Rude. Jake the Snake Roberts grabs his tights and pulls him down and exposes his ass.
Yeah, I had to contain my wife over here while watching that.
Yeah, down, girl. And after he exposes that ass, he hits the DDT on Rick Rude and gets the elimination. Then Andre gets himself DQ'd by just
choking a man and not stopping.
the hell out of Jake the Snake and not stopping when the ref told him, hey. Well, he was also in the corner. That was you can't do that in the corner.
Right.
Then
Mr. Perfect took the opportune moment as soon as Jake the Snake fell to the ground,
Well, no, Andre grabs Jake the Snake and headbutts him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he headbutts him, and then Mr. Perfect runs in and gets
the
pin.
he gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. But Jake the Snake gets the last laugh. He gets Damien out of the bag, and I've never seen Andre run so fast.
He was... Yeah. Apparently he's not a fan of that snake.
Okay, so after the match, we get a promo with the team of Ted DiBiase, Big Boss Man, Akeem. Who else is on this team? We got King Haku. King Haku. So they're about to battle the Mega Power team, and we get a little bit of a promo. I believe $1 Million Man's first person I mentioned.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So we get a little bit of a promo there before the main event, and then we're going to be on to the main event.
Red Rooster.
Red Rooster.
He's hiding in the back.
That's right. We forgot about Red Rooster.
I think the world forgot about Red Rooster.
A long time ago.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to it. Okay, so the last match of the night is Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth, Hercules, Hillbilly Jim, and Coco Beware. And their opponents was Akeem, Big Boss Man, Haku, the Red Rooster, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and they had Bobby the Brain Heenan, Slick, and Virgil in their corner. Now, I found this match to be extremely fun. I thought it was definitely a great Survivor Series match, and it had a little bit added extra to it. There was definitely a little bit more than just a typical match.
Yeah, I liked this match. It was actually a lot of fun, a lot of good storylines that happened during the match. It was a good match.
Yeah, so one thing we noticed immediately as soon as the match began is Coco Beware had blurs in his tights. We did some research and found out that the blur in his tights spelled out WWF. So the only thing we can think of is apparently it's okay to use the logo on WWE Network because it doesn't officially technically spell out the 3 letters, but apparently the 3 letters on Coco Beware's tights is a problem.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Also, another thing we noticed is Hercules went from 0 to hero.
Yep, he is now a face. Something to do with Ted DiBiase wanting him to be his slave? So that was kind of weird.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
But he's a good guy now.
Yeah.
The almighty Hercules.
Okay, so match begins, and tell us how the elimination went.
Well, first, the Macho Man Randy Savage does a flying elbow to take out the Red Rooster, who really didn't do much. And after that, Akeem eliminates Hillbilly Jim with the big splash.
Yeah, well, that would take out anybody. He's a big man.
So is Hillbilly Jim, though. It didn't really fit for me.
So does that counter the weight? If you're a big guy, do you just bounce off another big guy? I mean, how do you think that works?
It looked weird.
Okay.
Big Boss Man takes out Coco Beware with a side slam.
Okay.
Then the almighty Hercules gets beat by a light knee to the back. Just Macho Man just barely grazes his knee on his back and then gets the pin.
You mean the $1 Million
Oh, I'm
Man.
sorry. Did I say Macho Man?
Yes.
I meant $1 Million Man. Just kind of. I'm just so used to Hercules being the heel.
So speaking of the $1 Million Man and what happened there is after he pinned Hercules, he, for whatever reason, starts kind of celebrating, but he's facing the opposite direction as his opponents. And he actually reaches over and tags Big Boss Man, but for some reason, either the ref didn't acknowledge it, Big Boss Man didn't even come into the ring, but there was definitely a tag there. Macho Man took the opportunity of $1 Million Man not paying attention. He ran in and pinned $1 Million Man, and then his trunks came down, and we get another ass shot in this show.
We expose more ass.
Except this time it's blurred, as opposed to Rick Rude's never was blurred.
Well, Rick Rude, I don't think minds showing off those buns.
Very possible. So he gets the 1, 2, 3. Macho Man eliminates Ted DiBiase, and after that, that's where this match kind of starts getting a little bit crazy and a little bit interesting.
Yeah, Slick, for some odd reason, I don't know what happened there. He just, for some reason, he was like, "I'm grabbing Miss Elizabeth. You're coming with me." I think he was about to put her to work.
Yeah, he definitely appeared to be acting like the Godfather there.
Yeah. And then what happened?
So after that, we have Big Boss Man gets some handcuffs and handcuffs Hulk Hogan to the ropes on the outside of the ring.
What Rage is conveniently ignoring is that Hulk Hogan committed a felony. He He punched Slick. That is assault, brother.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that went down, but
Big Boss Man had every reason to handcuff Hulk Hogan to the ropes.
What about hitting him with the nightstick afterwards while he was already handcuffed?
Well, sometimes you just gotta give some tough love to these guys, you know what I'm
So
saying?
anyhow, the Big Boss Man, he gets eliminated due to count out, but he doesn't leave ringside. So then Akeem and Big Boss Man start beating up on Macho Man inside the ring. So then Akeem gets disqualified due to the fact that him and Big Boss Man are beating him up and Big Boss Man's been eliminated. So now we are down to a 2-against-1 Survivor Series match with Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan still handcuffed outside.
I would just like to argue that Big Boss Man went into that ring because Macho Man was not respecting his authority.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, that's why he went in there. He wanted Macho Man to just respect his authority.
So anyhow, so then we get King Haku is the last remaining member on the heel Survivor Series team. So he's pretty much handling his business, taking care of Macho Man pretty good until eventually Slick decides to get involved and holds Macho Man's arms back up against the ropes. And Haku is going to come and super kick Macho Man, but he ducks out of the way, kicks Slick. Slick goes flying. This gives Hulk Hogan the opportunity he needs to try to get the keys from Slick.
Yeah, well, Hulk Hogan, he's able to move around on those ropes a little bit, and he takes out Bobby the Brain Heenan right after Slick gets taken out. And then Miss Elizabeth comes running over there, grabs the keys from Slick, and then releases Hulk Hogan from his very justified arrest.
Yeah, well, so Hulk Hogan gets to the corner. Macho Man finally gets the tag that he desperately needs. Hulk Hogan comes in, takes care of Haku. Big leg drop, 1, 2, 3, but that's not where the story ends.
No. Hulk Hogan, during celebrations, he just continues to upset everyone. And he picks up Miss Elizabeth for a decent long time. And, he's picking up Macho Man's wife there. That's not very respectable.
Yeah, and this time it's clear that this is kayfabe at this point. You can tell Randy Savage is definitely making the audience known that there's an issue, that he's looking at Hogan like, come on, man, what are you doing? That's my wife. So I'm starting to believe that was real, and this is definitely building up to WrestleMania 5. And I say that because it was so subtle in the last show that I felt like it could have been real. Like, it wasn't like, what are you doing? That's my wife. But it was only for a brief second. Then they started celebrating. So it was just kind of felt a little different. This time felt clear as day. They were definitely letting the audience know there's a jealousy issue going on, and he was not very happy with Hogan hugging his wife the way he did.
Yeah, just like Hansel and Gretel, they're just slowly putting the breadcrumbs down for you to start realizing, okay, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
There's going to be a problem. This starts the dissension of the mega powers, and we're going to get a awesome breakup based on Macho Man's jealousy over Hulk Hogan. Just being a douchebag, let's be honest.
Well, it's his wife. So, okay, well...
I know, I'm saying Hulk Hogan is the douchebag, not Macho Man.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough.
It's his wife.
Okay, so let's find out all about our favorites and worst of this show.
We're not going to talk about the very short, for the first time ever, short poses. I think it only lasted about 3 minutes this time
No,
compared
you're right.
to like 10 minutes of normal posing with Hulk Hogan.
Now,
at
in
the
all
end of
fairness, even though the camera was done, they were still posing when that camera.
Oh, I'm
faded.
sure that audience got
the-
posing for the next hour.
Oh, I'm sure at least another hour, and then the song
Guys,
looped over and over again.
Do you want to see me pose again?
How about over here?
I can do it over here, or here, or even here.
Okay, so let's move on to our favorites.
Favorite match of the night.
Okay, so my favorite match of the night was definitely the main event. The Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers Survivor Series match. I felt that was the best match of the night. There was a lot going on. It was a lot of fun. I mean, Survivor Series matches are kind of hard to narrow down this answer because you might have you got usually 10 wrestlers, and there might be good and bad in a match. I mean, the one match was 42 minutes long, and I thought it was kind of too long, but at the same time, there were some good spots, and there was definitely a really
interesting
ending. So these Survivor Series pay-per-views, I think, are going to be kind of difficult to pick. I'm actually kind of looking forward to when they break away from the whole show being Survivor Series matches, which happens later on in more modern WWE pay-per-views. I don't remember every match being a Survivor Series match. There's other matches, singles matches and everything. So I'm really looking forward to when they break away from every single match of the pay-per-views a Survivor Series match. I just don't know when that'll be. It'll just be interesting to know when that happens because to me it's kind of hard picking favorites. I mean, there's better and worse ones, but I'm going to give this one to the main event.
This is tough because I don't know if there's a bad match here.
Yeah.
They were all pretty decent. We only have 4 matches to choose from.
Right.
And, I think I'm going to probably agree with you with the main event. I did like the tag team match. It was decent. It went on for a long, long time. But, you had some legends in there that it was cool to see. And then you also had the Conquistadors, which, not a legend.
Maybe in Mexico they are.
I don't know. I've never seen them before. But I think the main event had the best storytelling. It was fun. It was entertaining. And I just liked the story it told. And then we also I'm really excited to see this feud between Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. I like the build up. I like the little subtleties of it. I always love a good tag team versus each other feud after a breakup. So I'm going to have to agree with you. I think it's the main event.
Okay.
I think the main event is the clear winner.
All right. Well, I think this next segment will be a little bit harder to choose.
A little bit. Worst match of the night.
Okay, so worst match of the night. Like I said, this is a little bit more difficult because there was a little bit of every match that I really liked. I mean, you had the first appearance for us with Owen Hart as the Blue Blazer. You had the first appearance of Shawn Michaels in the, which is my favorite wrestler, in the tag team match. Then you've got the first appearance of Mr. Perfect in the other match. So, I mean, there really wasn't a bad match. And I'm really kind of torn, so I'd like you to go first.
It's a bit of a challenge, but I think when you have 4 matches that are all pretty good, pretty decent, you go with the one with the weakest ending, the weakest story, and I think clear cut that is the end with the Ultimate Warrior. I think it's the first match of the night with the Ultimate Warrior. I didn't like the end. I enjoyed the end of pretty much all the other matches. I enjoyed the stories of all the other matches. I think the first match is, I don't want to say by far, because it was still, for the most part, a fun match, but it just didn't tell the story that the other ones did. It didn't have an ending that I liked. I didn't like the whole Ultimate Warrior doing a double axe handle on two different guys and getting the win that way. I thought the ending was weak. So, based on the weak ending, I'm going to go with the first match of the night.
Okay, well, I think I've decided I'm going to go with the second match of the night, the tag team match, and I hate doing it because it was the first appearance of Shawn Michaels. As you know, Shawn Michaels is my by far favorite wrestler of all time. I think he's the GOAT of wrestling.
He's one of the best of all time, that's for sure.
To me, it was kind of one of those things that I think the match was just too long for its own good. 42 minutes for a match is a long time. And I just felt like there was too much. It was just too long, too frantic. It was a hard match to really follow. And to be honest, there wasn't enough of Shawn Michaels in it.
You know, that's a good point. And really, if anything, out of the Rockers, that Marty Jannetty shined a lot more than Shawn Michaels.
I agree with that.
Match.
Shawn Michaels did not do much in that match.
So, other than the fact that your favorite was in that match, there wasn't much more to say about him.
So I'm starting to feel better about this decision because the WWF basically sidelined my boy. I think I'm going to go with that as the worst match. And like I said, 42 minutes long, no matter what the payoff at the end was. It was just lengthy.
That was the difference for me. Yes, I agree. It was kind of a long match, but there was a lot of good in that match, and it had a good ending. I liked the ending to it.
Well, there wasn't really a bad match here, so it was
it's
just kind of hard. So
yeah, normally on these pay-per-views, we've had at least one match to shit on completely,
and we really didn't
have on this one. No,
and like I said, I think my biggest gripe was the length of that match. It just felt like it just kept going.
And the lack of Shawn Michaels.
Very much so. The lack of Shawn Michaels did hurt its stock value in my worst match of the night. But, you know, like I said, sometimes worst match of the night isn't that bad when it's a good show.
All right, well, let's get to our first Survivor Series rankings.
Okay, so the first two Survivor Series for me were very similar. I mean, you've got nothing but Survivor Series matches. But I think I'm going to give the slight edge to this one because I don't think there was really a bad match. You also had legends that we've been waiting to see show up. I mean, the opening of the debut of major pay-per-view. I'm sure he was on shows before this, but you had the major debut for us in our podcast, Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect. I mean, to me, this was, you know, I don't know if it was head and shoulders above Survivor Series 1, but for me, this kind of slightly above Survivor Series 1. I'm going to have to give Survivor Series 88 and then 87.
I agree. I think the big difference is Survivor Series 1 had matches I didn't particularly enjoy, where this one, all the matches were pretty solid. The first Survivor Series had the women's Survivor Series match that I didn't think that was that good. Although it was weird that there wasn't one on here, but it wasn't that great of a match. I remember being quite disappointed with it, and so yeah, I would also say that this one is on top. Second Survivor Series than the first Survivor Series.
Okay.
I don't know if there's going to be any of these Survivors or any of these pay-per-views that are going to be the first ones. I have a bad feeling they're all going to be at the bottom of my rankings.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with the growth of the show. Yeah. I mean, they definitely grow and become better. Like we were talking earlier about Royal Rumble being television special, not a pay-per-view. So that second Royal Rumble, which we're about to visit on our next episode, is definitely going to feel different, I hope. I'm assuming the second one was a pay-per-view as opposed to a television special. I mean, we're talking 1989 now, so I mean, we're just guessing. So we'll definitely...
we're really starting to sniff the 90s here.
Oh, yeah, we're getting close, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
We got 4 more shows to do into 89, and then we are in the 90s, and then we're going to start getting into some fun stuff. Not that what we've watched hasn't been fun, but we're going to start kicking into the stuff that we probably remember more.
Yeah.
I mean, we were around when these shows came out, but we were too young to really notice, majorly what was going on.
And I don't think we were getting pay-per-views when we were watching.
No, we wasn't ordering pay-per-views. Dad wasn't ordering them for us,
Yeah.
So everything we probably knew was what they told us on the shows or WWF magazine.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so that wraps up our Survivor Series coverage. This has been a pretty good Survivor Series. I think we both agree that this was a quality one. Really curious what the third one's going to be like that could top this, because even though there was only 4 matches, they were all pretty solid matches. This was a pretty good show.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so if you want to join the conversation and give us your opinions about this Survivor Series show, you can definitely do that at our Facebook page, The Rage and Blaze Show. You can go to our Instagram at The Rage and Blaze Show, Twitter at Ricky Rayberg.
Yep, and you can follow me at Dragon Blazer Productions on the Facebook, the Instagrams, and the YouTubes. And you can follow me on Twitter at Dragon Blazer Pro.
Okay, so that will do it for this episode. And I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
Good night from Rage's Pit.
Good night, everybody.
And here is your winners, and still podcast tag team champions of the world,
The Rage and Blaze Show.
Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Rage and Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.